the topic of the discussion right now is Denver's late game execution. Okay, so for those of you that didn't watch the game, they're down by 1. It's 17-16. Seahawks have the lead. Denver drives down 2 minutes. They got the ball. They got a 3rd and 14 right at the 50-yard line, and Russell Wilson completes a 10-yard pass to Javonte Williams, which gets them into a 4th and 5 situation. Okay, so they got a 4th and 5. There's about a minute left in the game. More or less a minute left in the football game. And Denver has all 3 of their timeouts. And rather than quickly using one or hustling to the line to, okay, let's get this 4th down play off, Nathaniel Hackett and, let's put blame where it's due, my man, Russell Wilson, allows the clock to run all 40 seconds down to 20 seconds left in the football game. Then they use a timeout, and they send Brandon McManus, their kicker, out there to attempt a 64-yard field goal, which, of course, he misses, and the ball game is over, and Seattle pulls off, to me, what was the upset of the weekend. I mean, I thought Denver was going to mop the floor with Seattle. They've got a better football team. I don't know if they had the coaching advantage, but they certainly have the quarterback advantage, the defense advantage, the weapons advantage. I mean, playing on the road, we get how tough that is, especially Russell Wilson going into his old house, but you figured Denver would kind of pull away, and Russell ended up throwing for 340 yards. It didn't feel like it. It felt like he was kind of off all night, but ultimately, it was all said and done. Seattle came out with the win. First of all, about the decision, and I'll get to what Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson both said in the aftermath in just a second. But as far as the decision, it's easy to say hindsight's 20/20, blah, 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 but you have to know as a coach, and frankly as a quarterback, because especially a quarterback of Russell Wilson's caliber. Okay, this is year 11 for him. He's been in the league a long time. He's been in a lot of these situations, been in a lot of close games. You have to know before you even snap the ball on the 3rd and long. If we get it, great. We keep moving, keep marching down the field. If we don't, depending on what the play is, if we get a positive play, in the case of the Broncos, 7 to 10 yards, something like that, if we only get a couple of yards, we have to know right then, are we going for it, or are we kicking the field goal, or are we going to take a timeout if he's tackled in bounds? Javonte Williams catches the pass, goes 10 yards, gets brought down. There's a little less than a minute left in the game. Got all 3 timeouts, and it's a 4th and 5, but again, the field goal is 64 yards. You have to know immediately, okay, if we want to call a timeout, do it immediately. So there's about 55 seconds or so left, and we get our best play call in. So we got time. Russell's going to go to the sideline, talk with Nathaniel Hackett. Let's get our best play in. What's going to get us 5 or more yards, get us this 1st down, and let's keep this drive going, hopefully cap it off with a walk-off field goal. The other strategy, which I personally would use, is hustle to the line, snap it, 4th down and 5. If you get it, great. If you don't, there's about 40-odd seconds left in the game, but you still have all 3 timeouts. And Seattle, for as great as Geno Smith was in the first half, as great as Seattle's offense was in the first half, they did not do anything in the second half. That Denver defense really buckled down, especially that defensive line. They did a great job in the second half. So you assume, especially Seattle's going to play very conservative. They're going to run the football 3 straight times. You assume Denver will stop them. And if you're Denver, you can get the ball back. No timeouts, but it's better than no chance at all with about 20 seconds left and see what you can do. Maybe you could still get into field goal range. Instead, they let the clock run all the way through to 20 seconds. Then they use their timeout. And even worse, then they send their field goal kicker out, Brandon McManus. Now, we know McManus is a big leg. He's a pretty big kicker. He's a pretty tall guy. But we talk about analytics and all this, especially the young coaches like to use analytics. Well, the analytics tells me there's a great chance, not a very good, a great chance that McManus is not going to hit this field goal. You know, I know that because only 2 in NFL history have hit a field goal from that distance. One, Matt Prater, hit a 64-yard field goal, but he did it in Denver in that altitude. The other, Justin Tucker, just last year, hit a 66-yard field goal, but he hit it in a dome, so he's not fighting the wind. So the only 2 field goals of 64 more yards were hit indoors and in the altitude in Denver. In Seattle, we know listen, if there's one thing Seattle's known for, it's their fish markets, and it's their rain. It rains a lot in Seattle, so the air is kind of damp. Yeah, it's hard to get the ball all the way 64 yards and hit it perfectly in between the uprights. And of course, McManus missed wide left. So, didn't really have much of a chance of going in whatsoever. So you have to know ahead of time as a coach and as a quarterback in that situation what you're going to do, regardless of what happens. If he gets hit out of bounds, obviously you're going to get to the line and decide what you're going to do from there. But you got to know ahead of time. Now, Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach of the Broncos, in fairness to him, Monday was his first ever game as an NFL head coach. He's about 40 years old. So, this is going to be a learning experience for him. But he admitted, day later, looking back, we probably should have went for it. Russell Wilson was also asked about it, and he said, quote, "Look, I think, yeah. I think anytime you get the chance to try and win the game and solidify it and try to make a play, I always believe in having the ball and everything else. But also, we've got a great kicker, and we're going to believe in our kicker again. I also trust his decisions and everything else, but I'm also always ready to try and go do it if we need to." Russell Wilson wanted the ball in that situation, okay? Now, Russell's the ultimate class act. He's not going to bash his coach, the media, obviously, but Russell wanted to go for it there, especially in his old house against Pete Carroll's defense. Russell Wilson needs to get 5 yards. You don't pay a quarterback $250+ million to instead trust the kicker to make a 64-yard field goal as opposed to your quarterback getting 5 yards. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If Michael Jordan misses the game-winning shot, then he missed the game-winning shot. At least we went down with our best player. Like that's got to be the mentality for Denver moving forward. The good news is Broncos got, I think, the Houston Texans at home next week. They should win that game easily, but it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. Remember, this was the same case a couple of years ago. Team that won the Super Bowl, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got off to a little bit of a rough start. Remember, they had that kind of ugly road loss to the Saints. Tom threw a pick six, didn't play that well. They had that Bears game where Tom forgot what down it was. Him and Bruce Arians had some issues. Russell and Hackett don't even have any issues. Certainly that we know of. So if they get this cleaned up, Russell learns the system. And in fairness to Russell, it's Peyton Manning said in the Manning cast the other night, first game, you're already just trying to learn the offense and get comfortable with your receivers, especially after not even playing in the preseason. And now you're asking a guy to go out there and in what's an emotional environment, the fans are booing you. You're going against your old coach who, knows you better than any coach without a question, against teammates that know you better than anybody else. The animosity, it's a lot. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.